was like marketing to more like a beginner level business owner. And I knew that my brand and my heart and like what I'm passionate about and everything in between like didn't reflect that.
Welcome back to Duo On Air. I'm Abby.
And I'm Courtney.
And we're the ex-agency turned entrepreneurial team that puts the Duo in Duo Collective. Our boutique organic marketing agency specializes in SEO, social media strategy, and branding.
We're an everyday pair of business besties / marketing experts obsessed with helping our community learn more about what it takes to run a business.
Which is why on Duo On Air, we're not holding anything back. We're giving you all the info we know about how to grow your business organically so you can be the confident CEO you were made to be.
And how to navigate life as a small business owner.
Whether it's on your own or with your best friend by your side, so grab your coffee
or your mimosa, we don't judge,
and settle in for a quick value-packed episode of Marketing Tips.
Welcome back to the Duo On Air podcast. This is episode number 184, and today we have a special guest joining us, Dahlia from Dahlia Orth Creative. She was a past brand client of ours, and today we're going to be talking all about her rebrand and the shift in confidence once her brand finally started to feel like her.
Hi, Dahlia, and thank you so much for joining the Duo On Air podcast. We're so excited to have you on today.
Thanks, Courtney. I'm excited to be here.
Yes, of course. So for our audience, we actually worked with Dahlia. Oh my gosh, I don't even know. It feels like a year plus, but it might be that long since we've worked with you. I kind of actually feel like it was last year around this time that we kicked everything off.
Yes. Yeah. I think it was like this like fall going into like a new year.
Mm-hmm.
I was in Taryn's Girls membership.
Yes.
And then you guys had come in. Yeah. And that's where I got connected with you.
Yes. That's awesome. So we will talk about that in a second here, but I would like you to just kind of like first start off by telling our audience a little bit about who you are and what it is that you do.
Yeah, so I'm Dahlia Orth. I am a system strategist, HoneyBook Pro. I like to say that I like to meet business owners at all seasons of their business journey, whether they're starting out, needing a CRM like a HoneyBook or Dubsado or something else, or they want to like launch their first digital product and they need like email funnels and opt-ins and checkout pages and everything in between. I set up systems for all those things. And so it's a lot of fun and it's a joy. And I'm a huge, as we're going to talk about, a huge fan of millennial, like 90s pop references, movie references, all the things. You want a dance party, I'm your girl. Like to have a lot of fun and really simplify business down for people too, and help ease the process with systems especially.
Yes, I think systems can be such a terrifying thing. I mean, even we have been around for like 6 years, Duo, and systems, I think we're still learning things about systems like every single day, right? And sometimes they change and they can just be so overwhelming. So we definitely need people like you in the world to help us and who like love being in them and helping people simplify them. So that's awesome. But yeah, we first connected last fall, and you were in Taryn's Girls Girl. Is that what it was?
Yes.
Okay.
There was a membership community, and she had guest educators come in, and you guys were one of them.
Yeah. And that's when we had just launched what we call Sip and Strategize. So it was a workbook that we created, and it really helps people hone in on their brand strategy. So when we talk about mission, vision, voice pillars, even things down to like your I help statement and your purpose and all of that. So this workbook was something that we presented in Taryn's group. So she wanted us to do a little live presentation. So we kind of took everybody that was a part of that through that digitally. And that was actually our first time doing it digitally. So we were kind of like, oh gosh, we had done it in person. So we could like go actually like physically help people like figure these things out and answer these questions. So when we did it virtually, we were kind of like, is this going to work? But I think it worked really well. We were very shocked. And we had met you there and you had said something about your 90s, like being a 90s quote girl and like movies and all of that. And I sat there and I was like, I want to do her brand. That sounds like so much fun. And then like we connected later on and you came to us to do a rebrand for you once you worked through that Sip and Strategize workbook, which we'll put in the show notes for anybody too who is curious about that. But you had also worked with a really great copywriter. I don't who was that again?
Her name is April Brown. She's wonderful.
Yes.
And amazing at what she does.
I remember going through the copy doc and I was like, this is so much fun, especially with those like little 90s nuggets throughout. So that was a blast. But what we had done with you is we did the rebrand. And when you came to us, I think one of your biggest things was, so I've got this brand and it was beautiful. It was very beautiful. And you had a lot of people say, like, you have such a beautiful brand. Why would you want to be rebranding? So I think that was the thing when we worked with you through this, is you were kind of questioning, like, shoot, is this the right thing? Should I be doing this? And you felt like something was missing visually, or it wasn't quite you, right? Your brand wasn't quite you. It wasn't bringing through those bold colors that we worked through. It wasn't bringing through the 90s nuggets and sayings throughout your brand. So it was kind of missing that personal touch of you, I feel like. And the funny thing about your story is the same thing happened with us. So I kind of want to talk about that for a second. We also went through a rebrand 2 years ago, maybe now. And we had a lot of people say to us also, like, why are you rebranding? You have a beautiful brand right now. And that kind of stops you in your tracks, because you're kind of like, oh, crap.
Yeah.
Like, why am I doing this? Like, should I not be doing this? My audience likes where I am now. Why am I shifting? So that's kind of what we're going to talk about today, and just get your perspective on all of it as you went through that process. So the first thing, I'm just curious, with that Sip and Strategize workbook, how did that help you? And was it after that you realized, I think I might need a rebrand?
Yes. So I kind of came into that Sip and Strategize session where I was like, especially with ChatGPT, I was like, I know that it can do a lot of cool things, but I felt like I didn't know how to get myself there. And that like strategy session, as we kept building on it, I was like, oh yeah. And this. Like, I knew how I wanted to communicate. And especially like last year, I had this kind of epiphany moment where I realized I work a lot with like 6 and 7 figure business owners for their systems. Like, that's kind of the depth of the type of setups I do. But I was like marketing to more like a beginner level business owner. And I knew that my brand and my heart and like what I'm passionate about and everything in between like didn't reflect that, especially because I've been in the industry now for many years, similar to you. And so like, there's been a lot of iterations of my business. I've walked through a lot of, launches with people. I've done things with podcasts, all this stuff. And so coming into the Sip and Strategy session for me was like, how do I take all of this stuff in my brain and like get it on paper? So I'm like, yes, this is what I want to say. Yes, these are the type of people that I work with. And I remember like, during that time too, there was a moment where like, for me, it's really important that people are present for family dinners. And like, I wanted to weave in this like importance of, family and being present and enjoying life while being a business owner. And I just remember always thinking like, I don't know how to actually like get all my thoughts and like get it all out there and ready to go. And then, like I said, the way you guys build in that workbook through the process, like I finished with it and I was like, yes, this is my brand. Yes. Like, this is the heart of who I am and what I do and why I do it. And that was just like a really big moment that I think springboarded into that rebrand conversation.
Yes, that's awesome. I should backtrack a little bit. So the Sip and Strategize workbook, a lot of what it's built off of is actually using ChatGPT to help build that brand strategy foundation. So we have prompts in that workbook that she was kind of talking about, that we have you copy, paste. We have to fill in some of these blanks, but it really helps take you through that brand strategy for yourself, and like is asking the really good questions where it will give you some really great output, and then you kind of have to finesse a little bit here and there. It's not going to be perfect because it's AI, but we have realized that some people really just need help with their brand strategy and they have no idea where to start. So why not leverage tools like ChatGPT and a workbook like this that we built to help build that brand strategy? And we've had a couple of clients do this and they absolutely love it. So we know that it works. And then when you came to us for a rebrand, I was so excited because I was like, bring on the 90s. This is so much fun. I was born in 87. So I'm like telling my age here for everybody, but basically a 90s baby. So that's awesome.
Yeah.
So before working with us, how would you have described your brand and kind of how it made you feel?
Oh, so I did my first like formal branding probably in, I don't know, maybe like 2018, 2019 type thing, where I was like, okay, I'm good. Like I know, like I love systems. I definitely worked with a lot of wedding professionals. So like if you go to my site and if you're a wedding creative, there is this like a little bit of this like Caitlin James like undertone, you know what I mean? Where I was like, I love her branding and like I love the mint vibe and all the things, you know. And so I definitely wanted a pretty brand, my first round of branding. And then like as I've grown as a business owner, I had this, I remember thinking like, should I rebrand? Like what? Because again, it's like pretty and everybody would come to it and go, it's calm, it's warm, it's inviting. And I thought yes to all those things, but it didn't feel aligned with where I was in my business journey and the type of business owners that like I work with now where, and like my personality, like, you know, my personality didn't necessarily shine through my branding. It was more of like, this is pretty to me, so therefore it must be pretty to everyone, right? And it was definitely this moment of like, a rebrand was not on my radar until I kind of started to put my copy together and I did the Sip and Strategize workbook. And I was kind of like, is it all fitting? Like, I don't know if it is. And I remember just being just like stopped in my tracks a little bit. Like I was like, this was not something I considered in the moment for sure. Cause I love my brand. And I remember saying that to you guys. I was like, I love it. Like I know how to use the colors. I know how to like make things pretty. Like I have slide decks that I use for speaking. Like there were so many things. And I was like, this is all done and ready to go.
Right.
So why would we consider a rebrand? You know what I mean?
Yes, exactly. Yeah, I think the thing, I remember when we first kicked things off, you were kind of like, well, this is my audience and I'm more so attracting this audience. So it was kind of an audience connection thing, but it was also it was also the thing where you were like, I have a beautiful brand and people have complimented me on this brand. So, you know, why rebrand? But then you also had mentioned it didn't feel like me, right? It wasn't quite me yet. And even though it was beautiful and people liked it and it was welcoming, it didn't portray everything that you are and what you do in your business. And I think that was such I feel like that was like a big aha moment for us when we worked with you. I was like, you do have a beautiful brand, because you had mentioned that multiple times. You're like, is this the right thing? Is this what I should be doing?
Yeah.
And
it is funny. What?
No, keep going. Go ahead.
I was going to say, I literally, like, if this encourages anyone, I cried. Like, my brand felt so personal to me. So I was actually on a call with my copywriter. We were making some edits to it. And I was like, I love this copy. Like, it just screams like what I want it to be as a business owner. Like it has, you know, all those like jiffies, like Mia Thermopolis' eyebrows, you know, when like your systems look like that before I come in, you know, and there are all these things. I was like, yes, this is so fun. People will connect with it. And I was like, and she goes, so what are you going to do about your branding though? And I go, I don't know. And I started crying because I was like, it feels so personal because my branding, I feel like, has walked with me in many seasons of my life. So it just felt like so much like, this is the brand that shaped me into the business owner I am today. So there was a little bit of this breakup moment, honestly.
And I think
it was hard. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think a lot of people don't talk about that, right? Or they don't sit with those emotions and think about that, because when we talk about and think about our brands, they are an extension of who we are, and they should be. That's what your brand should be. And it is very emotional, and they are like our babies, and we've built them, we've nurtured them, we've taken them, you know, through life stages, even just outside of work. We go through things in our personal lives while, you know, we're still in our brand, right? So I think that is such a big thing when people think about rebrands, which is why I'm so excited we're talking today, because a lot of people struggle with that. They're like, I'm feeling all of these emotions. I don't know if this is right for me. This feels so big and scary. And like, I'm comfortable, like you could say comfortable where I am now, but I know that like something's missing, right? And I think that whole process with you, it was working through some of those emotions, because we at Duo Collective had just kind of gone through that same thing, right? Like beautiful brand, we're comfortable in it, everything's set up, because rebrands are huge. You have to redo website, social graphics, email newsletter, like it is everything. So it is very overwhelming. But when you step into something that feels more like you, that is more aligned visually, strategically, that's where that confidence really kind of shines through, and you're so excited to step into it.
Yeah. Because I feel like even it's funny if people scroll back through my Instagram, you could just see the difference between like my old branding and then my new branding now. It's just so different, but it's so fun. Like if you were to interact with me as an everyday person, my branding now is who you would experience me as. Like just it's like fun and colorful, and it's like bold, but it's also got this like nostalgia to it, you know. And so it was just like such a fun experience. And then like seeing it come together and going like, oh my gosh, like this is it, like this, you know what I mean? And then it's funny we talk about this because I feel like the pieces did start to come together as the branding came together. Like now, you know, like I redid a bunch of my email newsletters and stuff like that. And it's a lot of fun to send emails again because it feels like fun and quirky. And like I sprinkle in, you know, copy of, you know, different movie references or anything like that. Or, you know, like my brand photos, like that was a fun process because I was like, yes, I know what colors I want. I know here's what the brand aesthetics that I want. So it was funny how like bringing all the branding together kind of just brought the rest of the puzzle together, if that makes sense.
Yes, that makes absolute sense.
Yeah.
And I think that's too, like part of the process where people, I think at the beginning are like, they have these, you know, these nerves or this anxiety of like, okay, is this the right thing? And then every step, it just gets a little clearer and a little more confident because you can kind of feel yourself stepping into it. And I remember when you reached out to me and you were like, I have a photo shoot coming up. Like, what should I wear? What color should I incorporate? Because you hadn't quite finished up all of your branding yet. So I think I even like put together just a small Pinterest board for you. And I was like, do this. And you went and did it. And then we got your photos back. And that's when like everything just like starts to come together because not only are your brand visuals like done and who you want to be and portray now, but you've got these photos too. And like, I was so excited when I saw your photos, your wardrobe, like it all just came together so perfectly.
Yeah, I will say too, like, thank you, by the way. It was just like super fun because I was going to say, it was right when you had suggested the pop of purple. And the pop of purple is really what kind of like drove a lot of the brand photo shoot, which then kind of brought all the pieces. Like I would have been like, I'll never choose purple. Like what? But it just all came together and I was like, this is so fun. Like, and to this day, they're some of my favorite brand photos because they just came together so well with the branding. It's in and of itself. And I feel like it made going into that branding photo session, like there's a lot more confidence behind it because I was like, okay, there's a vision behind this now. And I would say we were probably like 80% of the way there where I was like, this is starting to come together. And it was really just like wrapping like smaller pieces up. But then when it all did come together, like you guys got the photos and then like building out the style guide too, like it just all came together. And I was like, yes. So it's so fun. To be able to just bring it all to life now too, especially for people that are like on the other side of it. Like if you're on the side where you're like, I don't know if I should do it. I know it can be really scary. It can be really scary to go like, how is it all going to come together though? Like, what will it all look like? And I mean, I think part of the process, and we might talk about this, was just really leaning into, like that questionnaire, especially you guys sent. Because if I didn't know those pieces going into it, I think it would have changed the outcome. Like I think knowing your brand going in is going to help shape this process too. And then you'll realize things along the way as well. Like as we were doing stuff together, I was like, oh, you know, like I would love this instead of that. Or I would, you know, this looks more like what I would envision in my brand. And then the fruit of it is always just, and the joy is when it comes together in a style guide and you're like, this is my brand.
Yes, I love that. I can just like see you standing on top of a mountain, just like screaming that, like, yes. But yeah, the style guide. Yeah. So we have a couple different packages, but that style guide that we did for you at the end there, I think that's such a strong visual for people when they do rebrands, because sure, you can see like a logo and some submarks and a pattern and some illustrations and icons and like kind of see them on one board, one visual. But when you see how those assets are used in the style guide, that's where you're like, wow, like this is how my brand works. This is how I can visually represent who I am. And it's purposeful, right? Because it's got all the strategy and like how to use the visuals, but we always lay it out so it's like your brand is shining. So it's always so much fun to deliver the style guides, because then people are like, oh my gosh, this is my brand. Like this is what it looks like. So yeah, the process, that was a good thing that you brought up. I think that is something too that we make sure when we kick off this project with clients, is that it's so super clear. Like we have a very robust questionnaire, and it's going through that makes you think of things sometimes that you might not have thought of within your brand, or it like really makes you step back and like really get into the details of it. And I think that is such a crucial piece for us as the designers on the other side, because it gets us to really think about your brand in sometimes a different way than, if I just said, here, do this Pinterest board, like that doesn't give me enough information about who you are and what it is that you do. And like the 90s movies quotes thing, like your old brand didn't have that, and then we incorporated it into your new branding and like really leaned in on that. And your copywriter, she leaned in on it, and it was just like, it was like chef's kiss. It was so perfect, because we were like, this is what makes her different, this is what makes her unique and fun. And so that whole process, I think, really helps to get down to like the nitty gritty of who you are, so that you can really step into your brand and live and breathe your brand.
Yeah, that was definitely a big thing in that whole process. Like I remember thinking, like, what would I say to somebody if I was sitting across the table with this question, right? Like if I was having the conversation with them, how would I actually answer it? Versus like, I would just say to somebody like, don't make it polished. Like your personality, you want your personality to come out in your branding, right? And you want people to go like, oh, this is her brand. This is how we would connect with that. And I just remember thinking, like, if I'm leaning into this, like if I was talking to my sister, this is how I would respond, or this is what I would say. And I think too, because of the sip and strategize side, like I knew that I knew what I wanted to say. Like I knew, because of the copy and that workbook all coming together, it really kind of helped build into that process of that questionnaire while sprinkling in my personality along the way. Like one of the things I think you guys ask it is like, what are phrases you use all the time? And, that's a big one where I was like, I want my copy to reflect that. I want my brand to reflect that. Like I want people to go, oh yeah, like when I hear this statement, I know it's from Dahlia because like, or if I see these colors, I know it's Dahlia because A, B, C, and D, right? Right. And I love too that you guys incorporated some of that copy into the branding elements too, like your system's bestie, or like, don't let the haters stop you from doing your thing. Like a mean, the Mean Girls reference. And I was like, yes, but like that only came, I think, because of leaning into your process, like you guys were able to go, let's sprinkle these things in because of really just like going deep with that and being like unapologetically myself in that way,
Oh, I love it that you said that, like unapologetically yourself, because that is so true when it comes to anybody's branding. And, I think people in the past have been like, okay, but what if my audience doesn't like this? Or we always keep in consideration your audience, right? It's a very key point. But if you aren't stepping into your brand, your own brand, with confidence and clarity and excitement, you're gonna show up like that, right? You're gonna feel kind of a little like, I don't know, is this me? But when you feel your brand, when you're in it, like your confidence and clarity just soar, and people see that. People can feel that. They can hear it through your voice. They can see it through how you're showing up online. So I think unapologetically, like stepping into your brand, being the brand that you want to be. Because if somebody comes to your brand and they don't resonate visually, they don't resonate emotionally, mentally, whatever it is, they're probably not your people, right? Like they're probably not your ideal client. You want that person that lands on your website, lands in your inbox, that is like, wow, like I feel this girl. I want to work with this girl. Like I love 90s movies quotes too. Like who doesn't, like things like that, I think really make that strong brand connection. And I think sometimes people are worried so much about what their audience is going to think, but you need to be in the rebrand phase. We always say you need to be a little selfish. Like, what is it that you like? What is it that lights you up outside of just serving your clients? And I think that's such a huge mindset shift when somebody's going through some of that work when they're rebranding.
Yeah, that's so true. I mean, because I was definitely in that season where I definitely had voices speaking into, are you sure you want to rebrand? Your brand is pretty. Why would you do anything with it? Like, I think too, it's really important to probably keep your circle small in that too. Like, have some trusted people, especially business owner friends. Cause that was what was hard too, is sometimes I would lean into like some of my, personal friends, and I would go, look at my new branding, or like, look at what I'm thinking about doing. And they would go, why? Like, it's so pretty. I'm like, oh, but they just don't understand this world. Right.
Right.
And so I think there's part of me that thought, if I had kept my circle a little smaller with the people that were like, no, this makes sense, and here's why. But it's especially in this season where you're like unsure or maybe doubting yourself in it, it's so easy to get all the opinions and then go like, what do I do? Or you don't want to disappoint somebody else because they like your brand so much, but you need a new brand. And so there's definitely a tension there. But like to what you said, being selfish and going, but what do I want? Or what's the level of business I want to take it, like the next level I want to take it to? And like, is it serving me right now? Like, will you continue to look at your brand and go, like it, like kind of how I felt, like it just doesn't fit. That was the best way to describe it. Is my copy was coming together. I knew this, like the strategies, like I was like, I know the kind of person I'm talking to, but the visuals weren't coming together with it. And there was always this gut feeling like it just didn't fit. And that was kind of my indicator where I was like, then I got to go for it no matter what the voices say. And that was it. So
yeah, I love that you said that too. Because I think a lot of people too, they want people's feedback. They want people's opinions, right? It's a very emotional decision. And it's nice to show people because of excitement, and to show people because of you're scared too, but you're excited. And then you want to get people's opinions. And sometimes when I'm working with clients, I'm like, okay, you know what? Take this. And, whether it's the mood board phase or the brand board phase, and show 5 people or whatever, and get their thoughts and opinions. And like you said, sometimes that can be helpful, and sometimes it can be maybe a little bit discouraging. And so I always tell clients, like, do that, with a grain of salt. Do it just very lightly. Like, don't think too much about what people are saying, because you're going to have so many opinions, right? But I'm glad that like you could recognize like, okay, well, these are, some of my best friends that don't own small businesses or that aren't in this world, and I think you and I had maybe even had a phone conversation where you told me, you shared it with some people, here's what they thought. And I think we always brought it back to, okay, but what is it that you want, right? What is it that you are going to feel best with? And so that's always, that can be a part of the process, is showing people the work that's happening behind the scenes, just to get opinions and stuff, but always making sure that it comes back and like you're checking it against your gut, that it feels right for you. So I'm so glad you brought that up, because I think a lot of people want, like, some people hold that stuff very close. Some people kind of want to share it, it's all up to like you and what makes you feel best. But again, at the end of the day, again, being very selfish and unapologetically you. So I love that. So how has having a brand that feels aligned to you impacted your confidence as a small business owner?
Oh my goodness. Well, yeah, it definitely just allows me to like show up different to my people. Like, I feel like there's confidence in me knowing like what I do for people and how I help them, especially in their systems. And then being able to like speak about those things authoritatively, especially. So, being able to talk about like funnels and CRMs and the difference between like HoneyBook and Dubsado and all the things that people have, all the questions that people have. But there is this like undertone of like, I know what I'm doing because I've done it for a long time, and I have a really great brand behind. Like, I'm like, I just finished a bundle, like affiliate bundle recently with somebody. And I remember like writing the emails and the feeling of like everything in that is like the branding is behind it. The visuals look good. The deliverables look good because I had the branding. Like, I was like, it all comes together. And I can't even explain it, because it definitely, I feel like if I still had my old brand, there would still be me like kind of like teetering into this like Dahlia from like 2019, 2020, where I was in this season of, can I do this for people? Am I really good at this? Like, whereas now I've done so many projects for people that I can speak confidently into those things and go, yes, I've done this. Yes, I've done that. I can help you in this way. I can do those things. And my visuals also represent that season of business that I'm in, where like, it's funny because there's a more like playful side to my brand right now. But I remember we talked about this where I was like, I don't want to come across as young. I want to come across as authoritative. And I think that's the best way to describe like the confidence level in my new branding now is, you know, I remember like one of the people like that was kind of inspo for me in my branding was like a Jenna Kutcher, where it's like, I'm not an influencer, but I want to have the authoritative voice behind my visuals that says, I know what I'm talking about and I know how to help people in this way. And I've done it multiple times, you know, and I want people who come to me to feel that way too, to feel like I can trust Dahlia with my behind the scenes of my business and with my systems, because she knows what she's doing and she's going to care for my business. So that was probably the biggest thing with my confidence, was kind of like leveling up the authority side of like how I help people, and, you know, where I can speak into things on the system side, especially.
Yes, I completely agree. Yeah. Jenna Kutcher was one of like those inspiration ones that you kind of had. And I think if I remember when we got to one of the boards, I think you even said like, this one maybe looks a little too like playful and juvenile. I really still want to have that like authoritative feel, but do it with these bold colors, these fun sayings, these fun icons. And so we worked through that and got it to the place that it is now. But yeah, I think it's a balance of stuff like that too, right? You know, I have worked with multiple brand clients and they're like, I want sophisticated, but I still want like a little bit of fun, or I want bright and bold, but not playful. So it's like really striking that balance between what it is that you do, who you are, how you want to show up, and making sure that those visuals match that. Because that can be tricky sometimes, right? You could like boho, but you're like, that's not me. Like, I like that style, sure, but that's not my style. So this is my style, and really fine tuning that to show up as you would be like speaking to somebody, right? Like you said earlier, like if I sat down and had a conversation with my best friend or my sister, like this is how I come off, and then this is how my visuals reflect that. Like if somebody were to land on my site or whatever it might be. So that is so important too, is to make sure that all of that stuff aligns. Okay, so what advice would you give to someone who's scared to invest in branding because they're afraid that it won't feel authentic, or it won't feel like them? Like, out of just the whole process of working with us, and you doing the sip and strategize, working with your copywriter, realizing like something's not clicking, I think I need new brand visuals, and then just like the whole process throughout getting there, what would you say to somebody who is scared to make that investment or to jump into that?
Yeah, I would say definitely a couple things. One would be, don't shy away from the hard work of learning your brand. I think the reason why my brand was able to come together the way it did is because of the upfront work of the Sip and Strategize workbook and the copywriting. And those are two like not glamorous sides of things in business. Like, nobody wants to necessarily sit down and, write.
Right.
But it's really necessary, and it's really important to then jump into a rebrand side of stuff. I think the other thing would definitely say, if you have that like gut feeling, inner voice in you saying like, I think I need to do this. Like, if you're sitting there like me going, something's not clicking, then I would start taking the step towards the potential of a rebrand. Because if you have copy you love, and if you know where, like, who you are, what you do, where you want to go, and something else isn't clicking, it could very well be your visuals, right? And it's funny how like it does matter more than people realize, like, and how everything can be cohesive and come together. And then the third thing I would say is, if you're like, because this is a big one too. And I, speaking into it to just be an encouragement. I remember saying like, this is an investment. Like I was scared for the investment financially. And I was like, I don't know. Like, I don't know if I can do it. But I just knew if I wanted to take my business to the level I wanted it to go and in the new season I wanted it to be, then I had to do it. Like, it was one of those things where it was like a rubber meets the road moment for me, where I thought, well, where will I be in 6 months if I don't do this? Like, I'll still have my old branding and like, I'll have this copy and I'll have all these things, but it's not going to like match. And, and so I thought, I think it's one of those, I have to do it and trust that the return on investment's going to come, down the road where I can't see it right now. But again, I knew I couldn't stay where I was. And so, I think the last thing would just be, if you decide and make take the plunge into the rebrand, you're going to be scared. I was like, oh my gosh, but take advantage of everything. Like just go all in. The spring for me was, my head was down and I was pedal to the metal on like rebranding, getting my copyright, doing my brand photos. Like, it was all things Dahlia Orth Creative for a couple months. And it was a lot of work, but now on the other side of it, it's so good. It's a ton of work up front. But if you lean into it, like, I trust it will be worth it. And like, speaking to someone who it has been worth it, that would be, I think, my biggest piece of advice and encouragement too with that whole process.
Yeah. I love that you said that, because you were one of the clients that like went all in, right? You did the photo shoot, you did the strategy work, you found the copywriter and worked with them, and then brought us on to do the visuals. And you really just like put your head down and did all of the hard work. And it is hard. It's a lot. There's a lot of pieces that need to fit together, right? But once you get into it, and when you said it was just like, yeah, it's maybe like not the sexy side of things, like sitting down and like putting words to your brand, right? Like strategy, mission, vision, copy, all of that. But I feel like once you get into it and it starts to click, you get excited. Like, you're starting to be like, wow, this fits. This feels like me. This is it. Yeah. And I think it's just sometimes just hard to get started, right? And sometimes it's like, where do I start? Like, where do I even start? And I think a lot of people who are confused on where to start, like, I would highly suggest the Sip and Strategize. Even if you don't do a rebrand with us or whatever, I think it just brings so much clarity to people's brand strategy side of things. And that clarity and confidence is only going to help you show up in your business better. And I think that's something that we've learned with you. You were a fun case study where you were just like, you started to really step into it and feel that confidence, and you just ran with it. And it was so much fun to see, because we were like, yes, go girl, go. This is so much fun. So it, like, the process was just great. And I think if you're, like you had mentioned just a minute ago too, you were scared and you cried and you had many emotions throughout the whole process. And I would say that if you don't feel some level of scaredness, then you probably don't have the passion, right? It's good to feel scared. It's good to be nervous. Like we were with our rebrand as well. And that's part of it. And it is a big investment. But I loved everything you said. I think you had 4 points to that question, so that was amazing. But I would say you kind of just got to figure out where you are. And if you have everything nailed down and you're sitting there, like you had said, and you're like, something's still not clicking, it could be those visuals.
Yeah. And I think, again, being a girl that's sitting on the other side of it, like, I'm not saying this to people as like, I'm an expert in this area. Like, I'm saying as a business owner to business owner, like walking through this whole process personally and, as a business owner, and then like seeing the fruit on the other side, like fully understand all the things that, all the gamut of emotions, like we've talked about, from making the decision and, to go after it and all the deep work behind that, to seeing it all come together and then like celebrating that, to even like, like I love that you guys even offer after the branding is done, like if there's ways we can help you like overhaul those things. Cause like that's also a phase too, that you have to you just have to be okay with like this was just a year for me where it was like an upgrade. It felt like,
Yep.
like you could be cruising along as a business owner with like branding that you have. You're like, it's nice, it's good. And, but does it take you to the next level that you wanted to, or does it align with where you're at in business now? Like those are really important questions to ask. And if the answer is no, then I think it's probably time to potentially, start considering a rebrand and like a brand strategy and all those pieces. Again, it's really overwhelming to like think about it in the moment because like all the pieces and parts. But I think if you put your head down and you kind of know in your mind like it's going to be worth it, like it will be worth it. And I sit on the other side of that now, having gone through that whole process.
Yeah,
So and I'm grateful.
Oh, that's amazing. Well, we're so glad you came on today to talk through this because you were it was so much fun to work with everything with you for your brand and see it to come to life. So why don't you tell our audience where they can find you and if you have anything special that you'd like to tell them about?
Yeah, so I would love if you want to come say hello over on Instagram. My handle is at Dahlia, Dahlia.orth, ORTH. And then my website is dahliaorth.com. And I do have a pretty new product that is out. It's called Wow Factor Workflow. And it's really, it's a low ticket product because one of the things that was difficult for a lot of business owners was kind of this barrier to entry of people wanting like workflows in their business, but they didn't know how to actually like get it off the ground themselves. They were like, I'm not necessarily ready for a full-blown setup, but I need to get a workflow or two in place. How do I do that? So I created this product where basically it tries to simplify workflows down for you. And you can like map out your whole client journey. And then there's actually email templates and swipe files and stuff that you can make your own. You can put it in ChatGPT, once you have your prompts done and stuff. And then really, get it into your CRM and have all your steps laid out and your whole process. So, but because I'm very passionate about delivering on a wow factor client experience every single time. So, be a fun little one if you want to check that out.
Perfect. Well, thank you. We'll include all of that in the show notes for you guys as well. So thank you so much again for being on the podcast.
Thank you.
We really appreciate it.
If you liked this episode, please be sure to share it with a friend and subscribe so you don't miss any new episodes dropping every Monday. Plus, if you haven't already, please leave us a review and don't hesitate to share any new episode ideas. We love hearing from you and creating this content for you. See you next week.